Nerdcast assemble!
Stay dandy, baby.
I hope you guys are ready for some balls to the wall action, because there was some straight up JoJo's Bizarre Adventure shit going on in this amazing episode of The God of High School. I kid you not, this episode of the series had everything. Creepy religious zealots, 2 epic fights, and the introduction of a crazy power which borders on something supernatural. This was an intense and nutty episode of the series, which was jam-packed with lots of really great material. I mean, I would have been happy with the fact that this episode simply just had 2 major fights in it. You had Mira and Daewi actually battling against some pretty distinguished opponents, but it was the final moments of the episode where shit just went off the freaking rails, and we truly get to see that there is some sort of supernatural element that is going on in this series that they're slowly but surely starting to reveal. It's also very apparent that some of the fighters within this tournament, the God of High School, are not exactly purely human, or at least they have the ability to summon some weird sort of supernatural-like ability. But before we actually get to that, let's open up with the scene at the very beginning of the episode where we have this group of religious zealots who are all wearing these creepy robes as they're preparing for something that's going to happen after this tournament. What is interesting to note, however, is that one character that apparently trained Kang Monsuk is actually a part of this organization, the girl with the creepy eye patch. Now, I'm not sure what the deal is with these guys, but it's ominous and it's disturbing, and again reminding us that there's going to be a lot more going on in this show outside of just a standard martial arts tournament. And speaking of the tournament, they actually managed to get right back into the action, which is really awesome. And I'm really glad that we finally got an episode that was devoted to the 2 other characters of the series, Mira and Daewi. They both get a really awesome fight in this episode, and I really loved the first one, which was Mira, who is already one of my favorite characters from the series. She's incredibly cute and adorable, but she will slice your ass up, even without a freaking sword. She actually ends up battling against Ma Mission, who is apparently a WWD wrestling champion from America. That explains the way that she actually fights, and her battle is surprisingly intense. I thought that Mira was actually just going to take her out almost immediately, but she actually does end up giving her a pretty good fight, and getting to see like a wrestler fight in this big martial arts tournament is interesting because it's so different than any other fighting style than we've seen thus far, and the fact that you have like a wrestler going up against someone who uses swords makes the battle all the more great. And I love that Ma is sort of like using the ring like a real wrestling ring, jumping off the ropes and basically, using the ring to her advantage to actually fight back. And she has a lot of really cool attacks against Mira and even sends her sword flying. But the first episode proved that Mira does not necessarily need a sword to kick ass, and she ends up basically using a non-sword style which still allows her to cut her opponents, not only slicing across Ma's chest, but even taking her out with a giant attack using basically both of her hands as blades, which send a massive shockwave around the ring and just knocking the fuck out of Ma. This was just a great appetizer before we got to what I felt was basically the main course of the episode, which is the battle that Daewi has. And they also managed to get into his story a little bit more, showing that he has a lot of different jobs and he's trying to make money so that he can save his friend. Originally, I thought that he was going to be trying to help out a relative who was sick, but apparently he's just trying to help out his friend, who I'm assuming is going through chemotherapy or some sort of cancer treatment. And this just, again, demonstrates that Daewi is a very selfless and super awesome person. And he has this code of honor that really starts to display itself a lot in this episode, especially in his big battle, where he ends up going up against that one dude who uses the bat. Now, I'm not even going to try to pronounce this guy's name. It's just too tough for me. I just can't do it. So, as far as I'm concerned, he's just Batman. So, the fight that these 2 characters have is really awesome. Again, a unique fight. You have a hand-to-hand fighter who's going up against a dude who's using a weapon. I thought this was a nice sort of juxtaposition to the battle that we saw with Mira. I know the rules of the tournament is you can do what you want and use any weapon, but this is straight up just unfair, it seems. Still, it doesn't matter. Daewi is just an absolute monster of a fighter and can take a lot of damage, and even manages to take a lot of his attacks, some of which are incredibly devastating and take the form of these spear tips, which are constantly piercing his body. But again, getting back to the fact that Daewi is a very honorable character, there's a big scene where he's about to be attacked by Batman, who ends up slipping on the ring and falling over, and instead of Daewi taking advantage of it and just pummeling his face, he actually helps him up. That's the type of character that Daewi is. Even when he has a battle that's going to be completely clinched for him, he still manages to have like a code ethics, something that he truly believes in, and that makes him a really upstanding character. And of course, it's the segue into him actually winning, where we finally get to see some of his secret techniques, which are really devastating and awesome. And this is also where the animation just sort of just goes crazy and nuts with the fluidity and the impact and just how incredibly fast-paced that it actually is. What I love about the show and what I love about good action shows in general is that whenever like a punch or a kick is thrown, you can almost feel like it's hitting you while you're watching it. You can understand how painful it could potentially be. And man, he just laces directly into Batman, opening up all of his defenses and finishing him off to the point where basically the guy just ends up getting knocked out and falling face first directly into the ring. But wait, there's more. Even though most of this episode was dedicated to the two side characters of the series, we do get another awesome subplot with Mori. So we get to learn what his actual punishment is going to be. After he got involved with the battle with Go Gamdo and Kong Mansuk, it looks like he is going to have to fight one of the major commissioners of this organization. And at first I was kind of hoping that it would be the blonde guy because he really wants to fight against him again, but he actually ends up fighting against that one dude with the green hair and the glasses. And this commissioner is no slouch either. Apparently he's really powerful, and this episode makes it very clear that these guys have not even really shown what they're truly capable of. But basically, that's the deal. He's going to have to fight against this guy in the ring in front of everyone. The actual stipulation is that he's going to have to knock him down in order to make it to the next fight in the tournament. This fight's going to take place the following day, and as Mori is heading home, he's met by the head of the organization, Park Mujin, who gives him this bag of fruit. And he says, you're going to need this in order to get your energy up for this fight. However, this is actually a test which is being conducted by Park, because apparently these fruits are like some sort of weird poison that's supposed to suppress his body or weaken him in some senses. And if he's able to get over this like poisonous fruit, it'll show that he is truly capable, and there's a lot more to his character than meets the eye. It's also worth mentioning that Park realizes that there's some importance to Mori because he actually knows who his grandfather is, Jin Taijin. And apparently this guy is probably some sort of legendary martial artist of some kind. He expects great things from Mori, and I think this is just sort of like an excuse to try and draw out his power and to see if he truly is the real deal or not. So Mori goes home, he eats these fruit, and he suddenly just collapses, starts coughing up blood all over the place, and it looks like he's not going to make it to the tournament, and if he doesn't make it in time, he's going to lose. But somehow he manages to endure and he actually makes it to the ring. Now, during this entire moment when he was knocked out, he was having these really weird and crazy dreams, and it's filled with all of this cryptic imagery of all these like weird demonic images and weird figures. And I really don't even know what to expect from this. It's very strange, but it's continuing to drive the point home that Mori is not exactly a normal human. I mean, just the way that he fights should have given that away, but there's something else going on here that little by little, with every episode, they continue to build up. So at the end of the episode, I was thinking, okay, they're probably going to build up this fight and they're going to save it for the next episode, but actually it does have a solid conclusion here. And Mori seems more invigorated than ever, and he's able to move really fast. He gets right up in this commissioner's face, just casually takes his glasses off and gives him a nice little push, basically immediately winning the fight. But this ends up pissing off the commissioner to the point where, just like Kong Mansuk in the last episode, he starts to unleash all this like dark purple energy from his body, which suddenly out of nowhere transforms into a giant demonic scythe-wielding jester. It's basically a stand from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and it starts just tearing up the ring and trying to chase down Mori. This is where things just got insane. I did not expect anything like this from the series, but now it's painfully clear that a lot of these commissioners and these higher-ups and even some of the characters in this tournament are going to have some crazy otherworldly abilities that go beyond simply just punching and kicking the shit out of one another. And visually, it looks creepy and awesome, and it's got me excited to see what other sort of weird, crazy powers or summoned abilities that these characters are actually going to use in the show. Really, this entire tournament is just sort of a prologue, I'm guessing, to what the Ultimate Series is going to be all about. And if it's even like half as good as this actual tournament, then I think we're in for one hell of a win, my friends. So the episode ends with the other commissioners jumping in and stopping this guy from basically killing Mori with a giant demonic clown monster. And the episode ends as we get psyched up for the next one. So what's the rundown on this episode of The God of High School? If you liked the first couple of episodes, you're probably going to like this one too. I mean, it's continuing to just blow me away with its action sequences, and the pacing of the series is on point. They never miss a beat. Even when there's story moments, they go really quick, and even when you start to feel like I'm ready to see an action scene again, it immediately happens, and it worked so perfectly in this episode. There was just so much room, not only for small amounts of character development, like with Daewi and the relationship that he has with his sick friend, but they also had room to give Mira a fight, to show some more stuff about Jin's backstory, the relationship that he had with his grandfather. Just little moments like that just amplified this episode, and it was one of those things that, like, I knew I was enjoying it because I blinked and it was over. It was that good of an episode, and they even had room to introduce that weird, crazy scene at the beginning with all the crazy religious zealots. Like, I don't know what's going on here with any of that and how this is all going to connect to the overall story, because, again, they're not really fully introducing that concept quite yet. Right now, this is just a really kick-ass martial arts tournament, and in that sense, it's still doing a really great job. I am curious, though, about that final scene, though, where the commissioner decided to use, like, that weird sort of, like, summoned monster. Did everybody see that? Did everybody who was watching this tournament actually have the ability to witness this giant thing? Or do you have to have, like, some sort of special ability to actually see that? Or does it even really exist in the first place? Maybe it's just a physical manifestation of this guy's actual fighting style. But I'd like to think that this thing was actually there, considering it was tearing up the ring with its scythe and even grabbing onto Mori with its massive hand. Ever since the first episode, we know that within this series, there are characters who have superhuman abilities. I mean, we saw that island get stamped out. We've already seen lots of crazy powers. I just don't really know where it's ultimately going to be headed here, but as someone who's going into the series blind, it's continuing to intrigue me and get me excited with every single episode. As far as production value goes, I have nothing but praise for the series. It continues to look amazing with its distinctive character designs and its battle sequences, which are incredible. Not only is the choreography always really fast and fluid, I'm also really glad that we finally got to spend more time with Daewi, as I felt like of the three characters, he's been getting the least amount of development, but episode 3 is almost wholly devoted to him and his relationship with his sick friend and getting to see his distinctive fighting style. I do love that of all the three characters, they all have a very different way that they actually manage to fight. And even Mira's fight I thought was really great. I mean, she's just so damn cool. I love that even without the sword, she can still basically cut you with just her hands. Again, there's something not quite normal about these main characters, and they border on superhuman, but then again, most of the characters in the series do. They have all types of really crazy attacks, and even the opponents, like Ma Mission and Batman, like, they even had really cool fighting styles too, you know, despite the fact that they were essentially fodder for the main characters. So, wow. What a great episode. What more can I say? And what a great build-up for more of where this show is potentially going to be headed. I'm just excited for more of God of High School. Can't wait for the next episode. You heard my thoughts about this episode. I want to hear yours. Make sure to sound off in the comments section below and tell me what you thought about this episode of The God of High School. What was your favorite fight scene? Was it Mira? Was it Daewi? What about that big moment at the end where Mori was confronting a giant demonic clown monster? What do you hope to see from the future of this franchise? Sound off in the comments section and let's discuss it all. So thank you guys so much for watching this review. Please subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one. I'm doing a number of anime reviews right now, maybe the most I've done in a very long time, so make sure to check those out and support those videos. If you did like this video, make sure to use your super-powered martial arts abilities to hit that like button. It's super easy to do and it helps out these videos tremendously. I also want to thank all of my patrons who have been checking out my Patreon page. You guys are awesome. Not only have you been making some really great donations to the channel, remember, if any of you make a donation to my Patreon, I will review an anime series of your choice, and you can be a part of the list of all of these amazing people who are helping to make this channel better. So there it is, my friends. I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay down there, baby.